Look at costs in the long run. Good afternoon. Welcome back to this video clip. We look at costs in the long run now. So when it comes to making long run production decisions, the firm has much more flexibility. It doesn't have to operate with plant and equipment for a fixed size. It can expand the whole scale of office operations. All these inputs are variable, and thus law of diminishing returns does not apply. The firm may experience economies of scale or diseconomies of scale, and its average cost may stay constant as it expands the scale of production. Since there are no fixed factors in the long run, there are no long run fixed costs. For example, the firm may rent more land in order to expand its operations. Its rent bill therefore goes up as it expands its output. All costs then in the long run are what? Variable costs. Look first at long run average costs. Long run average costs curves can take various shapes. If a firm experiences economies of scale, its long run average cost curve will fall as the scale of production increases. And this is represented by diagram A in figure 5.1. Alright, so notice it is falling. So if the firm experiences economies of scale, its long run average cost curve will what? Fall as the scale of production what? Increases. Represented by A, economies of scale in language in this in it is represented by diagram A in so the cost is coming from here down to what? Here. Good. This after is how we define economies of scale, namely a reduction in what? Average cost as the scale of production what? Increases. If these economies of scale predominate, the long run average cost curve will what? Rise as described in diagram B. Right here. Good. Long average cost curve rises. Alternatively, if the firm experiences neither economies nor diseconomies of scale, the long run average cost curve will what? Be horizontal as represented by what? Diagram C. So please pause the video and write this down. Draw these diagrams down for me, please. Alternative long run curve, average cost curve, average cost curves. It is often assumed that as a firm expands, it will initially experience economies of scale and thus face a downward sloping long run average cost curve. After a point, however, all such economies will have been achieved and thus the curve will what? Flatten out. Then, possibly after a period of constant LRAC, the firm will get so large that it will start experiencing diseconomies of scale and thus a rising long run average cost. At this stage, production and financial economies will begin to be offset by the marginal problems of running a giant organization. The effect of this is to give a shape or saucer shaped curve, as in figure 5.12, which is right here. So basically, all three sections come together to make one, and this is the typical long run average cost curve. All right, you have the economies of scale, then you have constant cost, then you have what? This economies of scale. We look at my solution behind the long run average cost curve. We make three assumptions when constructing long run average cost curves. First one is factor prices are given. At each level of output, it is assumed that a firm will be faced with a given set of factor prices. If a factor prices change, therefore both short and long run cost curves will what? Shift. Thus, an increase in nationally negotiated wage rates would shift the curves upwards. However, factor prices might be different at different levels of output. For example, one of the economies of scale that many firms enjoy is the ability to obtain bulk discount of raw materials and other supplies. In such cases, the curve does not shift. The different factor prices are merely experienced at different points along the curve and are reflected in the shape of the curve. Factor prices are still given for any particular level of output. The next assumption is the state of technology and factor quality are given. These are assumed to change only in the very long run, where all factors are variable and their quality and hence productivity can what? Change. If a firm gains economies of scale, it is because it is being able to exploit existing technologies and make better use of the existing availability of factors of production. The last assumption is that firms choose the least cost sorry the least sorry firms should be least cost combination. Firms choose the least cost combination of factors for each output. The assumption here is that firms operate efficiently, that they choose the cheapest possible way of producing a level of output. In other words, at every point along the LRAC curve, the firm will adhere to the cost minimizing formula, which was shown as this, where A to N are various factors the firm what uses. If the firm did not choose the optimum factor combination, it would be producing at a what? Point above what? The LRAC curve. The LRAC cost curve. Alright. Now look at the long run marginal cost now. The relationship between long run average and long run marginal cost curves is just like that between any averages and marginals. Diagrams A to C in figure 5.13 show this relationship in the three cases as we looked. Three cases we looked at in figure 5.11. Alright, so you have this. If there are, please pause the video and draw this off. Alright. Now it says if there are economies of scale, diagram A, which is this is diagram A, right? Yeah, LRC, LRMC. Additional units of output will add less to cost than the what? Average. The LRMC curve must be what? Below the LRAC curve as you see here, and thus pulling the average down as output what? Increases. Alright, good. If there are diseconomies of scale, which is represented by diagram B, additional units of output, remember that marginal is the additional units of output, right? Additional units of output will cost more than the average. Thus, the long run marginal cost curve is above the long run average cost curve, right? The LRMC curve must be above the what? LRAC curve, pulling it what? Up. If there are no economies of no economies or diseconomies of scale, so that the LRC curve is horizontal, any additional units of output will cost the same as the what? Average, and thus leave the what? Average unaffected, which is diagram C in this case. Alright, everything remain constant. Alright, and that's that for that. This is where this now is different. Initial economies of scale, then what? Diseconomies of scale. Alright, this is where uh, All right. All right. Now, important terms to look at now, because some important terms now. Long run average cost curve, a curve that shows how average cost varies with output on the assumption that all factors are variable. It is assumed that the least cost method of production will be chosen for each output. Long run marginal cost now, the extra cost, long run marginal cost now, the extra cost of producing one or more unit of output, assuming that all factors are variable. It is assumed that the least cost method of production will be chosen for this extra output. The relationship between long run and short run average cost curves now. Take the case of a firm which has just one factory and faces a short run average cost curve illustrated by SRAC1 in figure 5.14. In the long run, it can build more factories if it thereby experiences economies of scale due to say to savings and administration. Each successive factory will allow it to produce with a new lower SRAC curve. Those with two factories, it will face SRAC to at 2, with three factories SRAC 3, and so on. So how this is drawn, you draw this first, then you draw this, then you draw this one, then you draw this one, and so on, right? Each SRIC curve corresponds to a particular amount of factor that is fixed on the short run. In this case, sorry, in this case, the factory, in this case, right? There are many more SRIC curves that could be drawn between the ones shown, since factories of different sizes could be built or existing ones could be what? Expanded. From this succession of short run average cost curves, we can construct a long run average cost curve as shown in figure 5.14. This is known as envelope curve since it envelopes what? The short run curves. So what happens is that you draw the short run curves first and then what? Draw the what? Long one. Alright. Now we look at last look at now is long run curves in practice. So look at long run cost curve in practice now. Firms do experience economies of scale, right? Some experience continuously falling LRC curves, as in figure 5.11, diagram A. Others experience economies of scale up to a certain output and thereafter constant returns to scale as we would have seen before. Evidence is inconclusive on the question of these economies of scale. There's little evidence to suggest the existence of technical diseconomies, but the possibility of diseconomies due to managerial and industrial relations problems cannot be ruled out. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day.